Hey K-popers, and welcome back to Hallyu. It's time to talk about a girl group that dominated the K-pop scene for years in the third generation, AOA. We'll start with a look at their really unconventional lore and how they had an 8th semi-member, then see how they found their stride with sexy concepts and dropped back-to-back hits over and over and over again. Next, we'll talk about how in recent years the group slowly faded and shrunk from 8 members all the way down to just 3, and finally look at the legacy AOA leaves behind and some important questions we need to ask ourselves as K-pop fans. Before we get started, I want to quickly thank Hallyu's honorary producers. If you want to show off your bias group here, share your pics in weekly videos, and join a vibrant Discord community with watch parties, custom emoji, and more, all you need to do is support Hallyu on Patreon. So AOA got their start all the way back in the summer of 2012, and you might be surprised to know they were actually an 8-member group for their first 4 years. Over the week of July 16th, 2012, FNC Entertainment started releasing teaser photos of each member, starting with Seolhyun, then Choa, Hyejung, Chanmi, Yuna, Mina, Jimin, and finally Yukyung. Now, you'd be forgiven for not knowing Yukyung was that 8th member, because they had a really strange setup where Yukyung would only promote with the group in their band concepts. In fact, she isn't even on the same tier as the other members in the lore, because AOA is of course short for Ace of Angels, and all the members have angel names. These names are Seolhyunari, Choaya, Hyejung Linus, Chanmi TT, Yunaria, Minaring, and Jimineo. Yukyung is officially listed as a half angel, half mortal, and her name is just Y. Now, AOA did actually have several band concepts, as we'll see shortly, and that started with their debut, Elvis. This is definitely a guilty pleasure song of mine, and in the MV you can see the members falling from the sky and landing on the streets as they begin their journey as a group. The song peaked at number 69 on Gaon's singles chart, which is a nice debut, and the girls followed up with the song Get Out. This song did a lot. It was also a band concept, it had some hints that AOA would be leaning into the sexy concept more going forward, and it had a ton of movie references. Much like in Twice's Cheer Up and BTOB's movie, each member portrayed a different character from a famous movie, featuring the movies Kill Bill, Leon, Legally Blonde, Tomb Raider, Harry Potter, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Romeo and Juliet, and The Fifth Element. It was during these promotions as well that AOA Black, the group's first band subunit, was being formed, and AOA Black actually performed the song Get Out on music shows as well. And AOA Black would actually get their debut with the song Moya in July of 2013, closing out a trilogy of band concepts that started the group. The girls would round out the year with the song Confused, an excellent comeback that I thought deserved to launch the girls into superstar status as they embraced the sexy concept. That didn't happen with Confused, but thankfully we wouldn't have to wait much longer, because their next comeback would be the start of a long run of massive hits for the group. AOA worked with Brave Brothers for their next song, which was the iconic song Miniskirt. Now, at this point at the start of 2014, there had of course been other sexy concepts done in the past, but to me, AOA and specifically Miniskirt really helped bring this sexy concept into the modern era. From the iconic outfits, to the unforgettable choreography, to the song itself, this was superb, and it became clear AOA were finding their stride as a group. The charts reflected this too, because Miniskirt would crack the top 10 on the albums chart and nearly hit that mark on the singles chart as well, peaking at number 11. And all that newfound success would lead to this moment on the February 9th, 2014 episode of Inkigayo, where AOA would take home their first win. With all this new momentum, AOA returned with the song Short Hair, another excellent comeback that saw huge success. Choa pulls off the bob like nobody else in K-pop, and in this MV she's running a salon to give all the other members a shorter do as well. AOA also capitalized on this new success to make their Japanese debut with a Japanese version of Miniskirt, and then FNC announced an upcoming comeback with a darker Catwoman concept. This of course ended up being the masterpiece that is Like a Cat, where the girls are pulling off a high-stakes heist and cracking a safe. This comeback is just perfection from AOA, and it's a great example of a group and a concept being perfectly matched together. I mean, this sequence with Choa and Seolhyun in the laser room, just iconic. Like a Cat peaked at number 5 on the digital chart and held the number 1 spot on the social chart for 6 consecutive weeks, and by the end of 2014, AOA were firmly in the top 5 best-selling girl groups of the year. After some more high-charting Japanese releases and some really great reality content though, it was time for AOA's biggest hit, Heart Attack. This was the song of summer for 2015, and it once again featured AOA in their element while using their feminine wiles to charm their opponents and win a lacrosse game. Heart Attack would peak at number 2 on the Gaon albums chart and number 5 on the US world chart, selling nearly 50,000 copies, which is a big total for 2015. They would also appear at KCON 2015 in New York alongside Girls' Generation, VIX, and Teen Top, and they brought the house down with some amazing performances and a special New York-inspired cover. was fortunate enough to be there that night. In fact, this is my personal footage you're seeing right now, and let me tell you, there was no doubt that AOA were at the top of the K-pop world in this era. Their performance of Heart Attack was absolutely electric, and I'm sure you can probably guess who my bias was. The girls would also go on to release a full-length Japanese album not long after, which included the song Oh Boy, where they take a shy boy and turn him into a dashing man. And as 2016 rolled around, the hits just kept coming. AOA debuted a new subunit called AOA Cream with the members Hyejin, Yuna, and Chanmi, and their debut song I'm Jelly Baby. They collaborated with Takanori Nishikawa on the song Gimme the Love, and they dropped the song Good Luck. Good Luck was seen by many as the summer successor to Heart Attack in 2016, and though it didn't quite hit the same heights as Heart Attack did the previous summer, it was a huge hit nonetheless. And in case you were wondering, yes, they kept steering into that sexy image they developed with these Baywatch-inspired beach scenes. Oh, and in case you're not convinced AOA was huge, Jimin also did a duet with EXO's Jimin called Call You Bae. Now, as you may remember, even up to this point, on paper, AOA was still an 8-member group. Unsurprisingly, with a band concept nowhere to be seen, Yukyung left AOA as her contract expired, stating though that she would rejoin for any future AOA Black concepts if they were ever to materialize. Just a couple of months later though, the group would release their first full-length Korean album, Angel's Knock, with the double title tracks Excuse Me and Bing Bing. The album peaked at number 3 and actually earned them a trio of music show wins as well. But sadly, on June 22, 2017, we got the news that despite her best efforts to return after getting help for depression and anxiety, Choa had officially left AOA. This meant the group would have to continue on as 6 members without their star vocalist, which they did with the EP Bingle Bangle. This song is a huge guilty pleasure of mine as well, and it was actually the final shortlist song of 2021 here on the channel. AOA's contract expirations were continuing to loom though, and after already losing Yukyung and Choa, Mina officially left the group in April of 2019 to pursue acting, leaving AOA with just 5 members. But despite the losses, the girls were about to have a big rush of momentum thanks to the Mnet show Queendom. AOA were one of 6 artists to compete on the show, and they had some spectacular performances, including the incredible cover of Mamamoo Egotistic. And AOA would build on that hype with a new EP as 5 members as well, that being New Moon with the title track Come See Me. Now of course we know that 2020 was a bad year for AOA, as Mina took to Instagram in July alleging a decade of bullying from Jimin that drove her to self-harm and even attempted suicide. This was a very public and volatile situation and continued to be for many months, which included Jimin officially leaving AOA on July 4th, 2020. I'm not going to be diving into the mess of allegations there or who might be wrong or right in all these situations, because really that's not my job to judge their personal lives, but the reality is AOA was now down to just 4 members. And with radio silence from the group for the rest of 2020, Yuna also announced that she was leaving the group on January 1st, 2021. So as it stands right now, AOA is technically still alive with Hyejin, Chanmi, and Seohyun, though I think the chances of seeing any new music from them are pretty slim. Now that is quite a story, and I think it warrants talking a bit about the legacy of AOA overall. A lot of newer K-pop fans who got in say in 2019 or later might only be familiar with the recent fallout the group experienced and not think much of them, but for us older fans we know just how amazing and successful AOA really were. This is a group who started out with a really unique set of concepts and then found their stride while pushing the sexy concept into the modern K-pop generation. Nowadays, K-pop girl groups are very focused on girl crush with some retro infusion as well, but AOA really did so much along the way to show what could be done when you have a group really suited for that sexier concept. They had an absolutely incredible run of hits from Miniskirt through to Good Luck that consistently landed them near the very top of the charts, and they did so without crossing the line into cheap or gratuitous sex appeal. There was so much talent in this group. Obviously the visuals were stunning across the board, but with Choa's incredible vocals, Jimin's rap sections, and the iconic choreography, AOA just had it all. I think AOA's story brings up a very interesting question, because I've definitely heard from some fans over the past year or two who say they can't enjoy AOA's music anymore because of the alleged internal issues that never came out until afterwards. And frankly, I think it's a question that applies to all of K-pop, not just AOA. Can you separate an artist and their music from a scandal? Can you enjoy AOA's music while also acknowledging that maybe things weren't always sunshine and rainbows behind the scenes? For me personally, the answer is yes, and I think the longer you're a fan of K-pop, the more you come to terms with some of those realities in the industry. But at the same time, I respect people who can't, and really when it comes down to it, the magic of K-pop is being able to find music that you absolutely love from artists that you really care about. And when it comes to AOA, there is absolutely no shortage of iconic hits to choose from. With that, our discussion of AOA has come to an end. If you're a longtime K-pop fan, what do you view as the group's legacy? And if you're a newer fan, have you looked into their music from before Queendom? It's definitely worth the time, trust me on this one. As always, thank you so much for watching this deep dive, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss all the great K-pop content coming your way right here at Hallyu. This has been Deep Dive number 94, AOA.